Let's talk about the best investments for your Roth IRA. Some of the investments could potentially grow your Roth account to about $1 million or more. We have this beautiful tax advantage account known as a Roth IRA. It does this miraculous thing. When we put money into this account, the money it generates in earnings comes back to us 100% tax-free. This account is absolutely wonderful, but what type of investments can we put in this account to make it even extra wonderful? Extra wonderful? Really, Mike? That's all you can come up with? Let's use the word astonishing. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the best type of investments to place in your Roth IRA right now based on your specific investment goals. My name is Mike the CPA, and this is the type of channel you'd want to subscribe to if you're interested in learning more about taxes and investing, because that's our focus here. I could stand here and tell you, oh, just invest in these 5 things and everything will be hunky-dory. But it's actually just a little bit more complicated than that. The best investments for a Roth account is going to vary slightly from person to person, really based on what stage of life they're in. The closer a person is to age 59 and a half or closer to retirement, their investment choices that might be best suited for them may be substantially different than somebody who, let's say, is 20 years old, 25, 30, or even 40 years old. Roth IRAs is one of my favorite things in the whole world, but not as much as when you smash that like button. Honestly, without your likes and your engagement on these videos, guys, YouTube's algorithm just likes to flush my videos and hard work right down the toilet. So your likes literally lift me up out of the toilet once I've fallen in. A quick history lesson for you all. That tax-free income dream you know as the Roth IRA was actually named after the late Delaware Senator William Roth. Although I'm not an investing expert by any means, in my personal opinion, for those who are furthest away from retirement, typically the best investment options are those that allow the largest amount of growth that somebody can have in their Roth IRA. So somebody who is younger should target growth type of investments as their primary focus. This is why focusing on growth is so powerful. Let me show you. Let's say a person starts investing at age 30 into a Roth IRA. They deposit the $6,000 per year. They put in $500 per month, let's say. Capital appreciation is 10% because it's growth focused, so they're getting a higher average annual return, and they have a small dividend yield of 1%, which is not much, but something. So what does that account grow to after 30 years? Well, if we scroll down to the bottom here, after 30 years, that account is now worth about $1 million. $1
million.
Now look at how big of a difference this makes if that same person starting at age 30 puts in their $6,000 per year, but they focus on just income paying investments. They get capital appreciation of only 2%, but they get a dividend yield of 3%, and the dividend grows at 3% annually. Watch how much smaller or how much less their portfolio would grow to after 30 years. After 30 years, their portfolio would only be worth $456,000 by the time they reach age 59 or close to age 60. So that's a massive difference. That's roughly a $600,000 difference in total account value.
No, God!
For people that are close to retirement, they should probably more so focus on income generating investments as they can use that income in retirement. As a CPA, when I think of a tax advantage Roth IRA account, the main benefit of that account is to produce tax exempt income or be able to collect dividends completely tax free for the rest of my life. But when I first started investing in my Roth, I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, I made some pretty big mistakes. I actually started investing for income, and I realized, hey, wait a minute, shouldn't my main goal be to maximize my account balance?
No!
Because I don't need the income right now, and I'm nowhere near the age of 59 and a half. And that's when I realized that I should just be targeting growth investments, and my goal should be to grow my account balance as far as I possibly can so that when I'm ready to retire, I can cash out all those investments in the Roth and then convert that cash into income paying investments, which can produce me the largest amount of tax-exempt income I can possibly make. Let's look at some really simple examples now of growth investments you can select from that are simply ETFs. You can also do this with mutual funds, but we're gonna look at some generic growth funds and even a technology fund. Doesn't have to be the ones I show you. I just wanna give you the overall idea, the overall concept. The first fund I think you should check out is Vanguard's Mega Cap Growth Index Fund ETF, or known as MGK. MGK owns investments like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Tesla, Nvidia, Visa, PayPal Holdings, etc. The next fund I think you should take a look at is Vanguard's Information Technology Index Fund ETF, known as VGT. That's the ticker symbol, VGT. It owns similar investments. It owns Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, but it has Adobe, has Intel, Salesforce, Cisco Systems, and many other holdings. One other growth fund you can consider is Vanguard's Growth Index Fund ETF, which is VUG. And what kind of investments does it own? Pretty much the same or very similar investments as the other two, but these are all funds or ETFs you can invest in specifically for growth. You can see many of these funds hold very similar investments. And it's kind of weird, but what I found over the years is I've looked at hundreds of different investments and dozens upon dozens of ETFs. Most of them, if they're performing well, if they're growth oriented, they own Microsoft, they own Apple, they own Nvidia, they own a lot of the same companies, Amazon, Google. It's pretty much across the board. That's what you're gonna see, even if you dig through several other funds. But these are just ideas to consider. Now let's look at how these things have performed over the last 10 or 15 years. So here we have in blue, we have VUG. In pink, we have MGK. VGT, which is the technology fund, is in green. And VU, which is the S&P 500, is in red. S&P 500 over the last 10 or 15 years, you have a total return of 325%. With the two growth funds, MGK and VUG, you're looking at about a 500% return, and you would have 7 times your money though with VGT at 750% return on that investment. You can see here how powerful this is. You could easily, now this is not to say that this kind of performance is going to last forever, but you could see how you could more likely than not average 10 to 20% return annually on your investment here. And if you can pull these kind of numbers on average for, let's say, 25, 30 years, I'm pretty sure you're a Roth, it's going to hit the $1 million mark. I'm pretty sure it's going to hit it if you can get these kind of returns. But these are the type of investments you will want to look at. Now check out this difference in income if you had $1 million to invest versus 450,000 working for you based on different percentage yields here. You can easily see that you're getting 122% more annually in income versus if you had invested for income the entire time. But by investing for growth, you're going to accelerate the potential of you having additional income, substantially more income in retirement with your Roth by doing so. Look at this, 70,000. If it were getting a 7% yield, 70,000 versus 31,500. I think if you want to invest for growth, you don't need too many different types of investments, especially if you're going to roll with like a mutual fund or an ETF. You're going to keep it simple, right? And you're not going to be picking individual stocks. And that's why I like ETFs here, is because you have limited capital, which you can put in your Roth each year. Having just a few investments that you can invest in over and over and over again as your game plan, I think will work quite well for you. You can maybe have a healthcare fund if you wanted, or like a technology fund, growth fund, maybe S&P 500. I mean, you totally decide what is best for you, but those are just some options I wanted to show you. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to do a video for a Roth IRA, what type of income investments to consider for a Roth to get those higher yields. There's a lot of different options that a lot of people don't know about, that I personally didn't know about for a long time. And I'd be happy to share that with you in another video if I get enough requests for it down in the comments. To learn more about specific investment types that are good to put in a Roth IRA, check out this video right here that I recently produced on the channel. All right, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience and being here today. It does mean a lot to me. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.